Hi, thanks for staying with us. This is Don Barnes, Tax Wars. This is going to be part two of calling the IRS. So be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We'll be right back with you. Okay, we are live and we are recording. This is Don and Nicole, Tax Wars. Welcome back to episode three. And we are going to be continuing from episode two, where we were discussing calling the IRS and how to make that call effective for tax practitioners, taxpayers on the phone with tax professionals with their clients. Um, we went into the Pratt call, or the practitioner's call, and how to do a conference call with your taxpayer on the line with a tax representative to get information and to also resolve issues that can be resolved over the phone. So we're going to go into that a little bit more. However, we also want to state that you can do practitioner calls not only with the IRS, but you can also do them with the states. Okay, right now the IRS, or at least for the past 7 years, hasn't been very aggressive on doing collection activity, and by that they haven't been garnishing or levying paychecks. That for some reason they have just laid off of that. When COVID hit, everything came to a screeching halt. However, your state, if you live in a state that has individual income tax, the two biggest ones are going to be New State of New York and California. But there are only 7 states that do not have individual income tax. Every place else does. And many of those states have created an art form to levying bank accounts and levying paychecks. And if you're ever in that situation, a call into the state with a experienced tax care tax professional can often get those levies lifted instantly. And then, in fact, we might do a little bit of role play here and to show you how that can be done quite easily. And let's remember, all states are not created equal. So there are some states that are easy to work with, and then some states, well, almost impossible to work with. All right. So, Nicole, do you have any thoughts to add to that?
Just as far as the states, just like Don was saying, there are some states that are a little more difficult to work with. So you definitely want to make sure that you consult with a professional before reaching out to them. Some of them, in order to release a levy, will want some sort of financial review. So I would recommend not just jumping on the phone and starting to review your financials with them. Reach out to somebody who knows what they're doing so that they can help you to make sure that you provide the correct information to them.
Very good. Okay, so moving forward, we're going to be talking about doing state practitioner calls. As we said, some states are very difficult to get into, but it is possible to get someone on the phone at just about every state. However, the process can be very different. You have to remember, all states have their own methodologies, what they will do, what they won't do, and many times it's difficult to get into some of the states that have the smaller populations, primarily because they are just not staffed up and they just don't get as many calls. Many times their computer systems aren't up to grade or up to speed. But also, if you live in one of those states, they it's a different ball game. But once you're also not getting going to get levied or garnished as much often in some of the smaller states. So Nicole, what are the states that, just so we know, what are the states that do have that do not have income tax?
Alaska does not. Nevada does not. Um, Florida does not. Texas does not. That's 4. The
I guess
um,
Nicole would be failing that test on her enrolled agents exam. Okay, but
I don't think that was a question on the test. It's
well, it
mostly
should
dealing with the
be.
IRS, not the states.
It should be. And it's important to know because many times resolving your state tax issue at the same time with your IRS tax issue, if you do live in a state that has state income taxes, you want to kind of resolve them both the same. It can really make a difference, and also can make a difference in the procedure in which you move forward to do things. It also depends what you're trying to do. Anyway, this
Washington does not.
Washington does not. She's almost there.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we would give her a true or false question. True or false? Okay, and then she'd pass.
Right.
All right. Okay, so one of the things is the two biggest states that are most difficult to deal with as far as state taxes. Right now, we would say the primary state that's most challenging is, I'm going to say, California.
Yeah.
That's the California Franchise Tax Board. What state do you think is the most difficult?
I would agree with that, California.
Well, now, I would also say new state of New York is going to be equally challenging, but in different ways. Okay, why is this? Why do you say the state of California is the most challenging?
State of California is one of the states where if they do begin to levy your paycheck, they will not just release it unless you can provide proof that you are in a financial hardship. And then beyond that, without releasing it, they also have another option where you can have it reduced. But in order to have it completely released, it is rather difficult in comparison to other states.
Right. Now, the state of New York, is challenging because the state of New York doesn't trust anybody. They go, if you live in the state of New York, we already believe you to be a criminal. Okay, we know because we're related to you guys. So they know that a lot of New Yorkers, especially around the metro areas of New York City, the five boroughs area, that people have just, you have a special way of surviving in New York, and a lot of people get paid under the table, doing different odd jobs, and so it's no one really trusts anybody. So the state of New York will make you jump through all types of hoops before they will release a levy, either a bank levy or a wage garnishment levy. However, it can be done. There have been times where very successfully, just by doing the practitioner's call, we have been able to, while on the phone, get a levy release from a state for a taxpayer client. And that's where the prac call can be quite valuable, okay, and a very efficient service. And what would happen, what we would need in order to do that, is to have a full idea in terms of what your circumstances are. Many times, you have a levy because you didn't file, okay? And so what will happen is the state will assess that year or years, and because you didn't file, you didn't take any deductions, therefore they're calculating out that you owe. Now, one of the things that can be done is to just simply complete those returns, okay? And we can get the state taxing authority on the phone, fax over the return while we have them on the phone. They calculate it all out, okay? And then grant levy release. Now, if it's with a major bank, they already know where to fax the levy release to in most cases. If it's a credit union that you're with, a lot of times you would need to acquire a fax number and a person to send it to. However, if it's your employer, it's the same thing. When it's faxed over to your payroll department, and then the levy can be released. Okay, and the state would fax it over directly to them, and sometimes within 30 minutes we can have your wage garnishment or your bank levy released.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the value of having an experienced tax professional knowing what to do, how to do it to get the job done. Okay, and just to give you some idea, Nicole, you've got some thoughts to add on that?
Yes, the other thing that state of California will do and has the right to do is if you are a licensed professional in the state of California, whether you had income or not for that year, they can assess tax for you personally based on what other licensed professionals in the same business are doing in the same city or the same county that you're in, and they can just file a tax return for you and assess tax based on that. So even if you had no income for the year, they will still sometimes come through and just send you a tax bill out of nowhere. So you might be wondering, where did this tax bill come from? I didn't even have any income. and they
Yeah.
will, and they can, and they do tax people based on what other people's earnings were for the year.
Well, the state of California, they make up new tax
Yes,
rules.
yeah.
They just the governor, Gavin Newsom, who we love, by the way. Hi, Gavin. Hi, Gavin. How are you? Keep up the good work, buddy. You're doing a great job. But these people in the state of California. Oh, by the way, you don't have to live and work in California
right.
for California to come after you. If
That's
you've
a
got
good
a small
point.
business, if they even think that you're doing business in the state of California, they will send you a tax bill and they'll just make up a number.
Yes.
You could be a crack dealer, okay? You could be a prostitute. They'll just make up a number and
Yes.
send you a bill. They don't care.
Based on what
Okay.
other prostitutes in the area are making.
Based on what the other prostitutes in the area are making. Okay. They'll go, well, we know you made $100,000 last year. Uh, don't even ask how they calculate all this out or how they figure it out. They just wing numbers. They wake up one morning and go, we need a new tax. I got a great idea. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's tax the homeless.
Yes.
Tax the homeless. Do they have money? They can sell their kidneys. They can sell blood. Let's get some money in here. We've got millions of homeless people now. Let's tax them.
Yep.
That they just make stuff up, and then once they realize, oh, that didn't work so well. Well, how are we going to get that money back? Oh, let's just tax the taxpayers more. Great idea. So they'll always default to that. So do not think that just because you don't live in the state of California that you can't get a state of California tax bill, especially if you have a business of any kind that does business within the state of California. And California is one of the most populous states. And so it's kind of hard to do business without doing business in the state of California, whether you buy, sell, or bank here. So that's one thing to remember. So uh, what we wanted to do, as more and more states moving forward from now are going to get very, very aggressive in collections, even the small ones, even like one of the states that we just joke about calling all the time is the state of New Mexico.
Yes. I knew you were going to say that.
Why this state has income tax, I have no idea. There's two people live there. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to say anything bad about the state of New Mexico. Great state. We love New Mexico. Beautiful state. However, the taxation system there is, I think, do they actually go into the office?
I don't know. I know that if you try to call them, they'll keep you on hold for, who knows, maybe up to an hour, and then they'll have you actually just input your phone number and say they'll give you a call back, which is usually not till the following day. So if you are going to be contacting New Mexico, definitely give yourself a few days leeway in order to get in touch with an actual person in New Mexico.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. But it takes a little bit longer, and there's other states that are similar to that. However, we're just want to kind of go through what it would be for, say, if you're calling state of New York, also state of Maryland, very, very, very efficient, very easy to get through. State of Maryland, state of North Carolina, North Carolina. Many times, some of the states on the East Coast have enacted through their departments of revenue, where if you owe back taxes, they will suspend your license or take your license. Um, and I never have quite figured that out because a lot of people need their license to be able to go to work and back. And what if you're an Uber driver and they're going to suspend your license? Well, how am I going to pay my taxes if I can't? So go figure that. There's also a few other states that have thought of doing that too. States will also suspend your license to practice. Let's say you are a doctor or a nurse, and because you get your licenses from the state. If you're an attorney, if you're a contractor, if you're a prostitute. No, I mean, some states license sex workers. Like, did the state of Nevada license sex workers?
But they don't have state tax.
But they don't have the state tax.
Right, no state taxes. So.
But sales tax.
True.
Yeah.
True. That's a good point.
I know. I always get charged sales tax when I'm at the brothel. So, so anyway, just to give you an example, there's many things, and the reason why a lot of the states that don't have individual income tax, they have very high sales tax.
Yeah.
Okay, like Texas, high sales
Yeah.
tax, Florida, high sales tax. So you always think, well, this state, I don't have any income tax, so I'm going to move there. But then you forget the sales tax, and if you are an independent contractor working in that state, you're going to have to collect that sales tax, and they will
Yes.
come after you.
Yes.
So it's kind of, don't necessarily think that, it's necessarily all that great. It all depends how you're gaming the tax system, okay? Because most of the time it's gaming you.
Yes.
So